everybody, I'm back again for another Margarete Miller collage assignment. This week I'm doing assignment 23. Here are the prompts, here are my prompt choices. So the first prompt is an empty bench or chair. Well, I've got two Sissinghurst garden benches. Like the colour of this one because of the tree image I'm going to use, but this one equally is really nice, this lovely teak one. It does say an empty bench or chair. You could argue that this isn't empty because it's got two cushions on it and a book and a mug, but I'm going on the premise that it's empty of people. The fact that it's got some bits and bobs on top I can live with. So I've got those. A bold graphic pattern. I've got one or two choices here. I've got this lovely piece. They're all bits of paint samples and wallpapers. This one I thought might pick up the green of the bench. Let me move that across. Pick up the green. This one, absolutely love. This one will certainly go with the starker grey tones of that, bluey grey tones. This one will also go with that one and also with one of the other prompt choices that I've got behind. And this one I lifted out. Now this one I really would love to use. It's absolutely gorgeous, but it's a sample of wallpaper, but I'm not going to use it. I want to use this in this little book that I brought back from Japan, and this little book will be my travel collage journal. Now, if you've watched my video about my Japanese haul, the bits and bobs I brought back from Japan, you'll know all about this. So can I refer you over to that if you have a vague interest? But apologies. Oh, I've got some bits inside. Let me lift those to one side. Apologies that I haven't made a start on this before now. Just look how lovely that would be on there. Really would be nice. This would be fabulous for a background to a collage, or maybe even two. So I'm going to save it for this and not for this project. But quickly, whilst I'm talking about this, huge apologies that I've not started this project before now. One or two things have got in the way here at home, but I will be making a start on this next week. So I'm going to save that piece of wallpaper. Well, that's a dried ginkgo leaf, and this is one of Louisa Heinzel's thermal technique receipts that I did a while back, and I've obviously put it in here thinking I could make use of it, and that would be nice just on there as it is, wouldn't it? Whether I use the back or the front. Okay, well, I'm going to pop that safe and sound back inside there, and this little piece of wallpaper, pop that to one side and get back to what I'm supposed to be doing, which is this. And I'm way off camera here. Sorry, everybody, this is not a good start to the day. Okay, so that was the second prompt, a bold graphic pattern. So I think these hit that prompt okay. Leaning towards this one, but we'll see. The next one, instructions. Well, I hate this prompt whenever I see it because I never know what to choose, and I always end up running around like a lunatic trying to find some instructions. Well, these are some Burda sewing pattern instructions. I thought I could use this because it goes against the green because the writing's green, or I've got these. Now these are all the instructions from my iPad. So this is the limited warranty, and it's how I activate my warranty, and again it's all different languages. I've got this little one as well that I can use. As you can see, my Magic Mouse instruction book here, quick user guide, and this is instructions about looking after the battery, avoiding heat damage, etc, etc. So I was wondering, let me just move these to one part. I was wondering whether I could, if I go for the little ones, whether I could collage these randomly all over the back to create a background. That would work. And I quite like that idea because I like how small the text is on these. This one, if I wanted a lone piece, then I could use that and then use my prompt pieces on top. Or this one, I could, near as damn it, just use as a complete background piece, because that would fit inside my border quite nicely. If I did my collage mainly in the middle, I could overlap it so that I could get it with that little border at the bottom there. Don't know, but this is quite nice actually, and it's very small, it's not in your face. And if I go for the grey bench here, so I'm thinking the Burda pattern instructions here we go. The border pattern instructions, if I go with that, because they're in green. But if I go with this bench, which is grey, then these are black instructions or black print, and that would work. So lots of options there for instructions. Let me just tidy the decks here. The next prompt, a piece of stationery with a unique design. I've got this stationery that I brought back from Japan. And again, you saw in my Japanese haul, I lifted these out. It is Sakura washi paper, and it's got in the middle of the paper these little maple leaves, and I thought I could use one of these on the design with a bit of the paper. Probably won't go for the writing paper because the leaves are a lot bigger, and I think something smaller might be nicer. The next prompt is a tree or plant in winter. Well, I've cut out this image of a tree and it looks wintry, I think, so I'm going with that. I'm not working on the premise that that's cherry blossom. I'm working on the premise that that's snow, just because this down here should be green if that was blossom. So I'm working on the premise that that's kind of a wintry tree. And finally, the bonus, a label or tag from food packaging. Well, I haven't gone for a tag from food packaging, but I've got some little labels or stickers here. These were from Lady Pink Apples, so these are just some little sticker labels. That's a fair trade label, and this is a Bonne Maman label of some jam. I'm leaning towards this one because of the fact that it's black on white and the writing as well. So prompt pieces up there. I'm going to put that label up there out of the way so I know where it is. I'm going to put these over onto the opposite side, and I'm going to bring in my instructions. Now, I'm leaning towards the grey bench because grey frame and grey image. So I'm going to fussy cut this out. I'm also going to fussy cut this bench out as well, just so that I can play with it and audition it. But as I say, I'm leaning towards this. I'm also leaning towards this one because I like the colour tones with that, maybe something like that. But first things first, I need to fussy cut these, so I'll do that and then I'll come back. So these two are cut out now. This one's quite a bit bigger. That goes better than actually using that. Mind you, that does look a bit better in terms of size, but for now I'm going to go with this one and just get a hint of that paper between the frame and the bench. This is definitely looking a cold image, so I'm going to put that with these pieces. And I'm going to play with these background pieces here. Because I liked the text on this and the size, I think I'm going to go with this to start with. So I'm just going to open it up and get a couple of sheets of paper out. Lift that off. Not liking that straight away. That's better. Just going to play with this top portion first, because as I said before, I can always cut across there and overlap my papers so that it looks like it's a continuous piece. And then have my bench there. I'm actually quite liking that. And then this I could have maybe there. And I really wish it was just this now, because as I'm looking at that, I've opened up a piece of this and I'm thinking that that's not really going to fit because of the colour. But I could have it down in here, just have it as quite a small collage. I can make use of this handmade paper elsewhere. Wondering if I can maybe tuck this in under here somewhere. Or even cut it out, put it on the top. Okay, I'm going to work on my background because I'm liking how these pieces are going, and I'm just going to leave those. And bring these pieces back in. Right, I'm not liking that fold, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that down. to the fold, which gives me a huge expanse down there, which is not what I want. I'm liking the placement of these. Still think it needs to come down in terms of having an equal amount of text down here as up there. I have no idea how I'm going to get this in, but for now I'm going to glue these 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4 together, and then I'll worry about the background and I'll worry about this. And actually I'm not even going to consider any of these. I'm just going to work with this one. So I'll be back in a second. Those 4 pieces are glued down now, and I've adjusted the height of this page of instructions behind, and I think that's more or less how I think it needs to go. I don't really have anything that grounds it, or the bench, but I think that's going to be the best that I can get, unless I put something along the bottom. But this is the obvious place for it, and I think that the best way to get this in would be to fussy cut it. So I'm going to have a go at doing that, and I'm going to hope that the paper doesn't fall apart, because that is sandwiched in there. That's the best I can do without actually cutting it. And then maybe if I just kind of angle that across the corner down there. Oh, not liking it at all. And I didn't really think it out properly, because I've got those 2 on that side, which doesn't really make it feel balanced. That might have looked better on the other side. I think I'm going to have to go with that, really. Okay, I am going to go with that. I'm not going to procrastinate today. I'm going to glue this section here to the background, and then this onto the back here, and then I'll come in and glue that in place. So let me do that now. I've glued everything down here except this piece onto my background, and the reason I haven't done that is because I suddenly had an idea, or remembered that I've got some tissue paper which is the same almost Payne's grey blue that this pattern is here, and I was wondering whether to leave it like that or to try and frame it so that it gives it a little bit more colour. So let me audition it for you, and please shout, because I've already auditioned it and I'm not sure. So let me show you. This is the piece of tissue paper that I've got, and it was a pull from a jelly plate, as you can see. I'm not using that side because it's very bright. This side, which is more muted, and if I bring that in, I wouldn't leave it like that. What I thought I would do is just move this up and just have a smidgen of a border. You'd have to imagine that it would be like that. I can't hear you shouting, so I'm going to go with my gut instinct, and I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to cut this to size on my guillotine. Okay, so I've trimmed this piece of tissue paper to size. I've also taken a little portion off the edge of here, and it will fall outside my working area on either side here, but I'm not too bothered about that. It's nominal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto this, and then glue this onto my working background when I've rubbed out my pencil marks. And here we go, everybody. This is my finished piece. Just got a line up here that I didn't rub out, so let me quickly get rid of that. And another one down here. So yes, perhaps a little bit too rushed, I don't know. I have to say I like the backing on this the more I look at it. What isn't sitting right with me is the placement of these two, and this particularly, it feels not right in terms of the colour, and in hindsight I definitely would have cut out these panels underneath the seat, but I didn't, and this is what I've got. Let me go quickly through the prompts with you. An empty bench or chair, well, I went with this grey one. A bold graphic design, I went for this art scrap behind here. Instructions, well, these were instructions to my iPad. A piece of stationery with a unique design, well, that was this piece that I brought back from Japan with me. I probably would have been better using the label, I think. Looking at that now, I could have maybe found a smaller piece of that and put that on, and that would have looked so much better, I think. But then it wouldn't have been a piece of stationery, it would have been something that advertises the stationery. Actually, I am so tempted just to glue that on, but I won't. I'll stick with what I've got. The penultimate prompt is, or was, a tree or plant in winter. I went with my tree there. And finally, bonus, a label or tag from a food package. Well, I went with this label that came off some jam, a jar of jam the other day. So thank you so much everybody for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Have a great week, and as always, bye from me. Take care.